So in the last video, I was talking about finding who you are, and I told the story of how just by a conversation with my brother, I realized I was dumbing down in some senses. And I was referencing Jeremiah chapter 1 and how God came and told Jeremiah, in my scheme of things, you're a prophet. And I tell this story a lot, and I keep reminding people that if Jeremiah became anything less than a prophet, his life pattern would have failed. Now, he could have become a carpenter, he could have been a teacher, he could have been a ruler, but his life purpose, the reason he was put on this earth, was to be a prophet. And there were many kinds of prophets, but he wrote some very difficult scriptures. He talked a lot about destruction. He talked a lot about captivity. He talked a lot about lamenting, crying, because Lamentations, he also wrote Lamentations. And I can imagine he kind of felt it wasn't what he wanted to do. I could imagine, this is me imagining. Imagine if there are other prophets who are coming and talking about the victory of the Lord. You will see the hand of God move, and then this dude is always talking about you will be judged, you will go into captivity, you will pay the price, you will, In my humanity, I would have wanted to be the prophet who brings the good news. Remember, I think it was Saul when he was going to war with another king, and the prophets, and he asked them, do you have a prophet in the land? And all the prophets came saying that you will be successful. And this foreign king asked Saul, don't you have another prophet? And Saul said, there's another guy who just comes and tells me all the bad stuff. And when the prophet came, I think it was Nathan, I forget. Anyway, he came and he talked about do not go to battle, for you will lose your life. And Saul was like, these other guys have said we will be victorious, the Lord has seen it good that we should go to war and we will conquer. And the reality of that battle is that that's the battle where Saul was shot with an arrow. That's the battle where he died, and that's the battle where Jonathan died. But when they were at war, he told this other king, I will go in dressed like just another soldier, like a general. You go in dressed like a king. So it's as if in the back of his mind, Saul was aware that this particular prophet actually spoke the truth, which got me thinking, right? My ordination is my ordination, whether it will be one of speaking the word of the Lord when this judgment coming, or whether it will be the one who's speaking about the salvation of the Lord, or the revealing of the Son of Man, or whatever it is that will come. But I must embrace who I am, because I cannot pass on my mantle to another. Think about Hosea, who God asked to marry a prostitute. And he was to marry a prostitute to tell the story of Israel's behavior when they came to God. Now think about it if he decided not to do that. That was his assignment for the season. Was it easy? No. Was it the cool thing to do? Absolutely not. But because God had ordained him to take that path, then he had the strength, he had the wherewithal, he had the ability to stay the course. And so many of us are struggling with staying the course because maybe we are not on the right path. I had a conversation with a friend recently when we were discussing how sometimes our lives feel so difficult. And then I remembered that when God said, I have assigned you X, Y, Z, right? Like, let's go back to Jeremiah. I've called you to be prophet. Jeremiah then had an insatiable hunger to build a lifestyle that kept him consistently in the presence of God. I cannot imagine what his life would have been like if, having been called to be prophet, he tried to be a king. He would not have the fortitude or the skills, just like, like David had. David was a shepherd boy, and his family didn't think he was important. But his time out there is what trained him. Fighting the lions and the bears is what trained him to be an effective king. It's what trained him to learn to go back to God and inquire of the Lord. So could it be that we are looking in the wrong direction for purpose, for our calling? Could it be that God has already shown us, but what He has shown us is not cool like we think is cool? I dare say that when I step into my place of ordination, just regardless of how hard it is, because some of us have walked on pretty difficult paths to get to where we are, I dare say that when I step into that place, God gives me the grace for the journey. And to me, that is more important than having a cool ordination. Because if I have the grace for the journey, it means then, as long as I lean into God, my pathway is secure. I call you to lean into God, that He may secure your pathway, that He may raise the valleys and lower the mountains to the praise of His glorious name.